All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We're going to talk about industry integrated learning. It's something that I have deep passion for and really have worked for many years now. This is our about to be our eighth year working with SUNY Potsdam on building capacity to do these types of programs. We have evolved greatly, in large part due to our collaboration with SUNY Potsdam through the Lougheed Center for Applied Learning. They've done such a good job coaching us, mentoring us as we've developed our product in order to make it more scalable and easy, for the institution to really approach experiential learning and reach more students. So I'm going to pull up this in slideshow mode. We don't have much of a presentation. Really want to make this as interactive as possible. So we're going to kind of dive right into that interaction in just a moment and learn a little bit more about each of you. So stay tuned for that. I just wanted to quickly kind of mention, let's see if I can get this going. The session today is being led by myself and Amanda, who we've been grateful to collaborate with now for, this will be our fifth semester coming up. Lots of new projects in the pipe, coming down the pike, so really excited for that. And Amanda, I guess you want to quickly introduce yourself and kind of talk about the context of what brought us all here today before we move on.
Yeah, so my name is Amanda Ledesma. I'm a visiting assistant professor in the business administration department, and I've been partnering with CapSource and Jordan's team, like he said, for several semesters now. My, I guess, reason for collaborating with Jordan is to just bring this platform out and just help make sure that everyone's aware that it is a resource for us to leverage in our classes. I've gotten such great feedback from my students about the experience. I just wanted to, as we're prepping for spring and maybe summer or fall classes, bring it out there and make sure everyone's aware of these tools that we have. Since I know we are looking more and more at applied learning, it definitely helps us find a unique and interesting way to bring that to the classroom without having all of that heavy lift on your side. Jordan's team is very good at finding partners and helping foster that collaboration.
So thank you, Amanda. I think that's some great context. So, with that, I'll kind of open it up to the rest of the group. Really excited to kind of learn a little bit more about what brought you here today and what you're interested in learning about. And then we'll kind of dive into the platform. We have three main tools for doing experiential learning in an industry integrated way. Project-based learning, which is kind of our most traditional route. You could do small group projects or large class projects. There's really a lot of versatility in that format. And then we have case-based learning, which is asynchronous projects, and then mentoring, both of which those new modules were inspired by some of the work we were doing throughout SUNY Potsdam. So I'm excited to show it and hopefully, get some feedback on it. So I'll hand it off to, if okay with you, Krista, and then we'll kind of go around the room.
Hi, sure. Thank you, Jordan. So, Krista Hafley, and I am an accounting professor. And I'm somewhat familiar with CapSource. At my previous college, it was used in the management courses, and they used, I can't remember which simulation in their capstone course. And this fall, I've taken over a couple sections of management, so it's piqued my interest again to find out what's new. And is there a simulation that could be best fit for our management courses, and even looking at our strategy courses? So, and I love case studies. So anytime there's a case study with real actual data, I love for my students to jump in and massage a data set and create a dashboard and present out to something. So I'm looking forward to learning about what's new. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Krista. Sheila, you want to go ahead?
Hi, I'm Sheila Neal. I teach in the graphic design department, and my students have been using CapSource with Professor Mahoney. So since I have so many students that need to do their internships, I know that the CapSource has a lot of good projects for them to do. So I'm hoping to be able to know more about it so I can send my students for internships that way, and possibly integrate it into my courses the way Kathleen is picking up projects for the graphic design students. I know it works well. So
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to work on those very creative projects, and it really goes to show how versatile and broad-ranging these projects can be, as long as we're open to collaborating with industry. So, Alex, do you want to introduce yourself at all before we get moving on to the next part of the session?
Sure. Alex Gomez from the CCI, Center for Creative Instruction, where I help faculty with technology. So joining just to kind of get introduced to what this particular tool has to offer for the campus.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to move on to just kind of highlight, again, the main crux of what we're going to talk about. So, Krista, I know you mentioned simulations. The only types of simulations we offer are case studies. We really don't want students working in like anything other than the real world. So it was actually for me a big motivating factor to start CapSource and my journey into experiential education, because I didn't have any of those experiences. My program, I went to Lehigh University as an undergrad business student. My program as a capstone, we worked on a simulation that was like 9 years old, and it was about like creating desktop computers. And I just thought it was so out of touch, even though it was designed to be, an interactive, engaging experience and give you and your team members a way to, discuss, act as a team, put your inputs into this like big algorithmic thing, and then out would come results, and then you would iterate from there. And I think, imagine instead of fake computer world, you're dealing with, real technology manufacturers, software developers, nonprofit organizations that really need help. I know, Amanda's worked with quite a few of those. So there's just so much that students can do, especially, with faculty kind of coaching them through both the projects and the case-based experiences. And then we'll also kind of highlight, we have a new set of features around mentorship. It's all designed to be a little bit more project-based mentorship. So engaging students in a professional development curriculum, giving the mentor and mentee something to talk about, something to kind of anchor their experiences, deliverables and evaluations built in so that the institution can report on mentorship outcomes. So, that was again inspired by our work with SUNY Potsdam, including the police academy was one of the main reasons we were putting that together. So that was a really cool pilot we ran last year, and we're looking for other programs where this might be a fit. So we'll get into these in more depth. I think I always like to start in like, what is experiential learning and why is it such a powerful tool at your disposal? This is something that the Lougheed Center has invested in and continues to invest in, because if it's close tied to the SUNY systems applied learning kind of, set of goals. And part of what we've done recently is we've brought in project-based learning so that, cooperative learning or student-led research projects or even work study can all be facilitated through the same type of, hey, what are you working on? Let's reflect on it. Do you need intervention? And really just providing the tools that are necessary to make sure all of it's documented and reported on. So this here is the experiential learning framework that we developed over the last several years. It uses the NACE 8 career competencies, which I know, the SUNY system is a big fan of, as the foundation for what types of skills, both, universal transferable skills, are used to develop real insights for real stakeholders. So the fact that these are real stakeholders is a key part of the experiential learning cycle. And then we talk about the importance of those students getting real feedback, both from faculty and from industry collaborators, so that they can reflect on, share, and showcase their career readiness through reference-worthy experience. Reference-worthy experience is essentially building a class or building a learning experience that students can add to their resume. So a class in and of itself is not something to speak about during, an interview, but a class that has an embedded project is actually something that can go on the resume. A class that includes mentorship, a class that includes building, a response to, a complex case study that you can use as an artifact. All of that could be used as, an outcome or a portfolio asset. And it could be used to showcase that they have the network connections or the references and the organizational knowledge to be successful in the workplace. So everything we do, whether it's developing the product or developing new relationships for our academic partners all comes down to maximizing the reference-worthy experience that students get on the outcome of these experiences. So to dive in, this is an example of a student that did a project as part of a class. They literally have on their resume, consultant, student consultant. They were working directly with the AI division of Verizon. It talks about the soft skills. It talks about the technical skills. It talks about the mentors that they worked with and ultimately the outcomes that they delivered. And that's the type of thing, ultimately there's only 1 million internships available for 20 million undergrad and grad students out there. And so if you're not in the top 5%, you're not getting paid internships. So how can we get students the 3 years of work experience that's necessary for 61% of entry-level jobs that require 3 years of work experience? So the idea is to build it into academic programming, build it into co-curricular programming, empower the students' experience by ensuring that they have the mentors, the well-defined, project-based experiences and other experiences that they need in order to move through those, learn, and showcase on their resume. One of our favorite things is to talk about the trade-off between kind of what's happening with the organizations, because at the end of the day, if they're not investing dollars yet, although many programs do actually raise funding through these types of collaborations. But what are they investing? If it's not financial resources, it's basically a process that they're using to evaluate talent, to train talent, to potentially place talent within their organization, and to get some insights. And so this really talks about the trade-off between experiential learning and experiential hiring. So the two different stakeholder groups, why are they participating? How do we motivate them to stay involved? I think it's really important to kind of create that transparency. But ultimately, if it's successful, it's very symbiotic, right? And I think in a lot of ways, and Amanda can speak to this in a few moments when we get to her examples, she really serves as a liaison, as a facilitator, as a coach in the classroom, not as the knowledge expert that's required, to prepare for a, hour-long lecture every day. It's more of an, interactive, iterative experience, which is actually really a lot more fun for the students and for the faculty that are involved. This is one of our favorite assets. This was, recently used to kind of explain what the experiential institution is, and it really this is the clear focus of where the school and faculty come into basically the role in the experiential bargain for institutions. So there's three big parts, right? There's the organization of the experiences, there's the facilitation of the experiences, and there's the accreditation of experiences. CapSource as a system really powers the institution to do all of these through our tools, but these are the kind of clear objectives of each of the stakeholders within the institution that's getting involved in experiential programming. So organization really comes down to aligning the course teaching goals with the objectives of a real organization, aligning with that organization on those objectives, and ensuring that the students are prepared for that experience. Facilitation is really about making sure that experience goes smoothly. Just like any real world project, there's bound to be changes in the environment, changes in industry, changes to the students' approaches, and different student perspectives, including sometimes students working together that ultimately don't like working together. There's so many opportunities to teach them how to overcome adversity, how to gain clarity in a very discombobulated real world experience. And so I think that's where a lot of the real fun happens. And then accreditation is made easy through the concept of providing documentation around who collaborated with what organizations, mentors involved, what were the goals and what were the outcomes, and how do we have measurable student learning at the end of it. So all of that again is facilitated through the CapSource platform. So with that, I'm going to transition over to Amanda, who's going to talk about some of her example projects that she's run over the past few semesters, and then we can kind of go through some of the other features of our platform and do somewhat of an interactive demo before we break for Q&A and talk about next steps.
Thank you, Jordan. So in my team building class, this is one of my favorite examples. Team building is a great thing to practice, right? We can learn about team building activities. There are all sorts of theories and concepts and applications that we can study. And then students get some hands-on practice, if I put them in teams or they have to choose teams and they do some case studies or whatever, the old-fashioned way, it gives them some exposure. But what I really liked about partnering with Climb is a firm that builds, they build content to deliver to school-age children, anywhere from very young to high school, that focuses on different areas. And one of those areas happens to be being a good teammate or being a good classroom citizen, those types of things. So my students were able to take the concepts that we were learning from our studies, practice them in their small groups, right? They had their own teams that they were working in to develop content that Climb could deliver to students to help practice those same concepts that they were learning. The students had a blast. They came up with so many excellent activities. We had everything from more like blog type, learn about it and get in touch with your feelings so you can focus yourself and how you should behave in a team, even when your teammates aren't doing their part, resolving conflict, creating games and activities to help foster effective communication. We had activities come out about how students could work together to create something that they didn't think was creatable, right? So they come up with all these excellent solutions, and then at the end of the day, they dial it back to how they applied what they learned and what they practiced in their teams. And it was such a more rewarding experience than if I had assigned them a case study on a paper-based case study, like I was investigating before I partnered with Climb and Jordan, to look at what does team building look like. I think the experience of having to actually work together and collaborate and build their own teams while trying to teach another set of users how to be a good teammate, what it looks like to be a good participant in a team, was highly effective. My students really enjoyed this collaboration. And like Jordan said, some things changed. They did have, at the very end of the project, we came to realize, if we had structured it in a different way, it could have been even more amazing. But we didn't change it on the students in the middle of the thing. But there is definitely opportunity for more classes to partner with Climb because they have so much they're trying to deliver to their audience. But I really enjoyed working with Climb. And one of the great things is they get to connect with senior leadership in these companies. They meet the CEO, they meet the people in charge of different areas of the business, and they get to collaborate with them one-on-one or with their group and that industry leader together. So they're getting super valuable insight to that company while they're trying to come up with these solutions for them. It's not like they have to sit there and imagine, well, I wonder what they thought about this when they're trying to analyze the paper case, right? And then in operations management, last fall, we worked with two nonprofit organizations. The first was Board Build, and they are a organization, I believe they're based in Texas, but they're trying to serve the nation. And they really see an opportunity for board members to be better prepared for governance within nonprofit organizations. They offer a wide variety of training. They try to collaborate with businesses to bring the training to them to help encourage people to serve and volunteer on boards. So they're trying to train up these companies, train up employees to go be good citizens in the nonprofits. They also connect nonprofit organizations to future board members. So they have this relationship they're trying to foster, but they're struggling with capacity. So they really wanted us to look at what processes and procedures do they already have in place? What roles are people doing? What is their current capacity? And how could they increase that capacity in 12 to 24 months? So our students really got a deep insight into what Board Build does. They actually opened up their platform, which the training platform is usually by subscription or by fee only, but they really wanted the students' insight, so they opened it up to them, let them take as many of the classes as they wanted to in order to get the experience of the user, so they could provide feedback on that to help make proposals for that capacity planning. How could they make it engaging over the long term? How could they retain people? How could they make sure people who go through the training actually get partnered with a nonprofit? So it was a fantastic partnership. I think the operations classes had the best feedback because we had so much interaction with the people from the companies, that they were really interested in learning about how to expand their capacity. So they emailed back and forth with the students. They connected on LinkedIn. Like, it was a great experience. And then NDPA is the National Drowning Prevention Alliance. And again, national, they're serving a national mission, but at the time we did this case study, it was the executive director, and he had just brought on one person help with marketing. So very small team trying to do a very big mission, and they were struggling with capacity as well. One person, like if that executive director were to just quit, or something were to happen to them, the organization might not survive it. So they're really looking at what type of data, right, continuity they needed. How could they grow with just this one person? How could they possibly expand their capacity to hire more people to further their mission? So our students investigated all these options for them and came up with some pretty creative solutions to help them look at ways to expand their capacity. It was very interesting, and it was kind of hard for the students to realize or to understand how such a big mission could be driven by like one person and their board. So they got some exposure to how, especially like nonprofits with those missions that are just true to people's hearts, because many people have known someone who has been impacted by a drowning. It was emotional for them, and they couldn't believe that such a big mission was being led by just one person, and how there weren't more people, right, out there helping them. So connecting that with board build, because it was in the same class, 2 different projects. I think a few students, they did leave with the kind of thought in their mind that they really should get involved and maybe join a board in their future. So it was nice.
So cool. So I just threw this quote up there, Amanda, because I thought this was awesome, and I know my marketing team is going to love sharing this. But as folks kind of soak this in, I think Amanda mentioned a lot of these points throughout this share out. Are there any questions from the group on kind of what this project-based experience was for the students? I think one dynamic that's probably helpful to mention is that Amanda uses one project for the cohort of students in most of her classes. So students are divided into teams and working on projects, all for the same organization. Or there's other formats. You can split each team of students and give them their own project. It's a little bit more of the traditional capstone model. I know that for the graphic design and media arts, we've done it in both different ways over the past. And they both present pros and cons for managing the experience and kind of driving the best results. But ultimately, when students are directly interfacing with organizations and responsible for the outcomes, I think that's where things get really a little bit more serious for them to take responsibility, develop professionally, communicate professionally, and ultimately deliver the results that are going to make the institution proud and give them perspective on what real industry leaders expect of their talent. So any thoughts or questions on kind of the versatility of the project-based learning model? It's definitely a kind of a tried and true method that's been used at schools for many decades now. Obviously hard to scale, so that's where we come in. But thoughts, comments, feedback, questions before we move on? All right, so that's good news. So we're going to to move on to just kind of display a little bit more of the power of the system now that you have a really good perspective on how it works. So this is kind of what I was mentioning. You can really set it up where you just have one project and one team of students, one project with multiple teams of students, or multiple projects with multiple teams. Each one of those environments within the project-based learning tool gives different tools to make sure that each of those experiences is being streamlined and managed as effectively as possible. The thing that makes our process unique is we built into the onboarding experience for industry partners a way for them to well define their project scope. So part of what you saw on screen when we were talking with Amanda just now are some of the key milestones that were required in order for the students to complete this project. That ultimately takes a business challenge and turns it into a measurable, attainable curriculum, with guidelines. And so part of our learnings over the last few years with Amanda is how we approach finalizing that. What's included in each of those milestones really helps to make sure that there's alignment between the students, Amanda, and the industry organizations. So just some food for thought on kind of how project-based learning can be incorporated into the course. Again, this is definitely one of the most popular ways to do experiential learning as part of a curricular program. It could also be used as co-curricular programming, could be done as case competitions, could be done as student research projects, consulting projects. There's really a lot of different ways that this could work. The process is really simple. We always start with the educator's needs. So if you said, hey, I wanted to do a 2-week project or a 4-week project or a 5-week project or a full semester long project, we have easy ways to set that up in the system. We collect all the requirements, what topics, what industries. We match you with those partners that are interested, and then we help design effective projects and make sure they're ready for launch. So it's really fun. You get to meet some folks from all over the place that are interested in collaborating with you and your students, and then you decide who you want to work with, and then we'll help you make sure that you're ready to get started. We offer this, so the Lougheed Center of Applied Learning is covering the fees for whatever programming we're going to put together. But just for some perspective, it includes sourcing companies and instructional design. So really just making sure those projects again are ready to go. All we need is your requirements, some time for you to meet the organizations, and then your final decision on who you want to work with, and then your help on finalizing the curriculum. It takes a traditional faculty about 10 to 15 hours to do this. It only takes most of our faculty about 2 to prep all of their materials for the semester ahead. We're going to actually dive into the case library and show you some examples. There's kind of 2 things to think about here. One is that we have a library of about 70 case studies that are based on previously completed projects. It's a really nice way to kind of introduce the concept of project-based learning without having to deal with scheduling, time for the organization to get involved. All of the projects, all of the case studies have, video interviews. They have, resources from the organizations. So it's kind of like a little bit of an easier turnkey way to get involved in our programming. If you want to do something that's a little bit lower maintenance, you can run it over a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It doesn't really matter. They're very similar from a standpoint of how the milestones are set up. It's just, ultimately you don't get active feedback and have to coordinate schedules with an industry partner, but it does give you the same kind of experience where students are really working on a challenge that's provided in real time from a real organization. And then the last thing we'll kind of showcase here is the mentorship experience. So we actually co-created with SUNY Potsdam professional development topics, which are all designed to bring mentors and mentees together and create measurable impact on the student experience and the student's professionalism and readiness for the workplace. It's deliverable driven, it's evaluation driven. It's exactly what you need to make a really meaningful difference in students' professional capacity. So I'll jump into an example environment in just a moment. But what's really cool is that students can do one-on-one mentorships, and we now have the ability to do program-based mentoring. So we also offer as a service to recruit mentors into your programs if you need it. Otherwise, you're happy to bring your own mentors or bring your own projects, whatever you think is going to be most impactful for your program. Potsdam is among a community of experiential learning leaders through their work with us and all the different types of experiential learning that they're doing. We like to say that really our flywheel is your flywheel. So you're building experiential learning programs, attracting innovative, engaged industry partners, producing well-networked, desirable talent, and then growing and monetizing your industry network. So that's really kind of the process that we use to make sure that this type of programming is scalable, is something that every student gets at least 6 of these experiences before they graduate, is really what we think is the best in class experience for students. Some key features that I wanted to mention. So student onboarding is made super easy. You can put your roster in. We actually do have an integration in the works with SUNY Potsdam, so they'll be able to single sign on hopefully next year. Deliverables and evaluations, it's a branded environment. You can customize any of your content, including if you want some custom case studies, we can build them out for you. We also have a new admin experience that we rolled out and demoed for the Lougheed Center, which gives them full overview on everything that's happening at SUNY Potsdam, and then allows them to narrow in on specific colleges or programs. Monetization tools, if down the line students get paid through these experiences, or you want to monetize those industry partners as you recruit them, we are happy to provide that. And then we also have our added services, which I mentioned. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions before I show you some examples live on the site before we wrap up today? I know we're in our last 10 minutes here, so I just want to make sure you're getting the best and most interactive experience possible.
I don't have anything to say. I just want to let you know I have class in 10 minutes. My students are starting to filter into my room. So if I have to go, I'm paying attention, but I'm pressing as well.
No worries. And feel free anytime, to schedule, a meeting directly. We can go through onboarding, talk about options. Again, everything is already covered by the Lougheed Center through a really generous grant endowment fund designed to enhance experiential learning offerings for Potsdam students and faculty. So it's a real honor to be a part of that. So I just want to quickly mention, so this environment doesn't have any projects. Amanda's does, so if we have time, we can go in there. But all your projects are kind of organized under the projects tab. Then you have a cases tab and mentorship. So these are the different modules that we use. Cases are super easy. You just click browse library, and then you can look at the entire list of cases that we have. All sorts of companies: blockchain, Bitcoin, AI, manufacturing and distribution, technology, software. This is a company that distributes farm-to-table meat to restaurants that care about sustainability. So we also have a whole library of leadership ethics cases from University of Arizona. So really all you'll do, if you're interested in a case, is click in to view full case. This is a case with the PGA Tour and the Sony Open. You could see the general description of the case, including a background, key objectives, and ways to measure success. There's also all of these resources. So if you wanted to have your students work on the SUNY Potsdam, wanted to work on the PGA Tour Sony Open volunteer recruitment strategy, they could do this. All of these milestones are customizable. So deep dive into the company, into the volunteer strategy, build a volunteer programming strategy, and finalize recommendations. All the resources that you need to run this project are inside this container. You just select this case and you get started on customizing it, and you can onboard your students and give them access to this content. So that's the easy way to do case studies. It's very similar. This is actually based on a project that a student team from Hong Kong and Chaminade University of Honolulu worked on, and then we just made it available to the public because Sony Open was open to that and is looking for more insights. So again, super easy to browse our cases, and if you want anything custom, we can develop custom cases. It's very easy for us to do. The last thing I'll show is the mentorship programs. So again, there's the ability for students to do one-on-one mentoring, or we could build out full mentoring programs. So this is a kind of a new tool that we've made available especially for kind of mentoring programs that really want to have a little bit more design. All of these topics are ultimately covered in the program, but each individual mentorship needs to choose a topic, customize that curriculum, and that's ultimately what we're using to measure success. So each one of these, again, has a full overview on the different curricular components. And so each one of these is kind of like a mini assignment or activity that the mentor and mentee are supposed to do together. And then what's really neat is that you can actually see the active mentorship. So this is a list of 3 mentors and mentees connected, when they started, when they're ending, and then the different topics that they're working on. So achieving work-life balance and negotiating salary and benefits. You can see all the deliverables. This tool is the same as the one for project-based program and case-based programs. You just see what the students are uploading and can keep track of them, share resources, manage your roster, invite new people. All of it's done really easily through the app. So I'll show you just really quickly what a mentorship experience looks like. Let's look at achieving work-life balance. So this is the description of the experience, and then they have an interactive timeline here, conversation starters with milestones due, that helps kind of explain what the objective is, and it really is a curricular approach to mentorship. So that's pretty much the quick and dirty around the CapSource platform. Happy to show you some of Amanda's samples in the future when we have more time, as well as the admin experience. I think that's a really cool tool that we made available, especially for the Lougheed Center, who's trying to kind of see and analyze the experience. We'll distribute this presentation along with the recording afterwards. So if you want to see any of this in more detail, you can. Some of the benefits of choosing to partner with CapSource. Of course, we really just want to see more experiential learning available to students. It's something that I get to learn from every company that works with every student team, as just being part of their process. So imagine how much those students are learning. None of this would be possible without the team that's specifically supporting SUNY Potsdam. So Lewis is our academic partnerships director. He's available if you want to talk about new ways to use the platform. I'm always available, and so is our director of product, who's my co-founder, Ankush. Again, our community is growing. You're one of the 250 academic partners that we've reached over the course of time since we started. Thousands of students being impacted, and it's really only possible with the help of many industry partners that are willing to sign up and get started and work with students. A glimpse into our leadership team here, diverse, fully remote from all over the world, working together to make experiential learning scalable and possible. And then we really just want to say thank you, and that we appreciate you joining us here today. So we have intentionally left a few minutes to help folks transition to the next thing on their agenda. But if you have questions and you want to stick around and ask them, I'm available for you. Otherwise, feel free to schedule time with myself, and I'll pull in the necessary team members to make sure that you're able to get started and really have a great pilot experience with us. If this is your first time, or if you're rejoining the CapSource platform now that you saw some of our awesome improvements to our experience, welcome back, and we're looking forward to serving you.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Did anybody have any questions or anything you wanted to ask before we wrap up?
Thank you, though.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. My question is, I'd like to see one of the cases, like from start to finish. Of course, there's not time right now, but another time.
Yeah, let's maybe after the Thanksgiving holiday, we can link up, and I'll send you a link, Krista, for the specific access to the case library. And then, the best thing to do is just select it and add it to a course and kind of design your program out and see what you think. But if you want, we could do that together. I'd love to get your feedback.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I also have access to it too, so if you wanted to just poke around in it in my office, we can do that too, and then you can connect with Jordan.
Yeah, my pleasure. And yes, Krista, you have a
Sounds
Potsdam email, so you can sign right up. I'll happily circle back with you and make sure you have the right access to it.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you for attending.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Sheila, anything before we wrap?
I don't have anything, but I will get in touch with you about scheduling something for next semester.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We have definitely plenty of time. I would say our goal is to get all the requirements in by first week of December, second week of December, so that we can finalize your program within the first week of January. So if you have any questions or need any help, we're available over the holiday season. Awesome. Well, thank you. Have a good rest of the week and some good time with the friends and family.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.